thank you for joining me today. So, what would you do if your fate was dependent on 366 blue plastic balls? This is what it was like in 1969 when they implemented the Vietnam lottery draft. There was one ball for every day of the year, and they picked at random to see who would be drafted first. If your number was chosen, you were expected to report for military duty within 6 months. It was the first time they did this type of draft in over 20 years. All men ages 18 to 26 were eligible, and today I'm going to be talking about the draft and the implications it had on young men, and specifically my dad's brother, Jack. So what did he do when he learned of the lottery? He actually chose to voluntarily enroll himself. While the war was going on already, it started in the early 50s and it escalated in the early 60s. The draft wasn't until 1969. The draft and lottery made the war even more debatable than it already was because it was forcing people into the draft. A lot of people said this, and it was quoted specifically by Anthony Fisher, who said that the war was discriminated against low education, low income, underprivileged members of society. He said this because only high members of society could afford a lawyer to get them out of the draft or to figure out a way to actually get them put into jail so that they didn't have to go to the draft. Some people even just fled to Canada. It was about 100,000 people that fled to Canada just to avoid it altogether. But not my uncle. John Higgins Jr. was born February 6, 1943. And according to the charts that I gave you, on February 6th, he would have been number 347 in the draft. So he would have been very close to the end of the draft and might not have had to even go in at all. But he chose to voluntarily enroll. He started as a private in the National Guard at Fort Dix, which is actually the same place as where my dad trained when he joined the National Guard. He worked his way up to be a colonel, which is actually the highest service member before the general. He was always inspired to do more after he joined, especially because he didn't actually go to Vietnam. He searched for other ways to become involved, and he became a member of the Ancient and Honorable Artillery Company of Massachusetts, which according to their website is the third oldest chartered military group and the oldest in the Western Hemisphere. This is where he was a member and invited to meet the Queen of England. He never considered the military before rumors of this lottery draft, and here he was meeting the Queen of England. This gave him opportunity to become a bail bondsman, a pilot, he flew helicopters, and he joined the military police. When I asked him what that meant exactly, the military police, he told me back in 1995, when I was in elementary school and President Clinton came to visit Boston, that he was part of the police escort that brought him here. There's plenty to debate over Vietnam itself, and his experience wouldn't have happened without the draft of the lottery. Though the negative experiences over Vietnam are popular ones that you hear often, it also helps some people find their path in life. One final thought is that there's often a silver lining. While the war was argumentative, it was purposeful and meaningful to my uncle. You can read other stories at VietnamWarDraftLottery.com. And while the obvious response to the lottery is shed in a negative light, if you keep an open mind, you can often find the silver lining. The end.